Well, welcome to the Post Sunday app. We're glad you joined us for this video where we talk about the sermon Post Sunday and the applications from it. I'm Ben Davidson. This is Daniel Bennett. We're glad you're here with us. It's been a little while since we've done a Post Sunday app, so we're going to reach back a little bit.
Yep.
First of all, were you rooting for the Chiefs or the 49ers or didn't care?
I was rooting more for Brock Purdy. You know, I like just the whole idea of a guy who's underpaid compared to the rest of the league. I just like just throwing an economic wrench in everything.
Okay.
And William Goldman, the author of The Princess Bride, once said, "Nobody in Hollywood knows anything." And I think it's just true in so many areas of life. Like nobody knows anything. You pick the last guy, and he's the guy that.
Yeah.
And you could argue, was it him? Was it the team? Was it the coach? Whatever. It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of fun. But
good story.
You know, I know we have Chiefs fans in our church, in our office, and I'm excited for them.
Yep.
So,
yep, for sure. So,
I wasn't, it's interesting how passionate you get about a team you didn't care about all season in an hour.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you're emotionally invested in the outcome. So,
right. Yeah. The saddest thing was the guy from the 49ers who was on the sideline. And he went to run onto the field and tore his ACL.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, just your heart goes out to that guy.
And and if you're the guy, you're like, you guys, like, you just say I was injured. You don't have to show the footage.
Right. They had to go back and show. Look, he was just running onto the field.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we covered the important things.
Yeah.
Now on to the other things. So we've started the book of Philippians since we last done a Post Sunday app. And you said about a year. Right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Roughly a year.
I hope so. Yeah.
Philippians. Okay, so that'll be fun. We're on a one verse a week.
Yeah,
pace.
don't judge our total pace by the last two messages.
Okay, so I shouldn't just count the verses, and that's how many sermons.
Right, how many weeks? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I know one of the things that someone asked of you, there were some points from was it your first Philippians sermon?
It was from the first Philippians sermon. You know, the first Philippians sermon, we're asking who is the letter of Philippians to.
Okay.
And I kind of gave 5 things about who it's to, and they missed the last 2. But I began that sermon by talking about my friend, the other Daniel B.
Yes, Daniel
who
Bush.
People got me mixed up with, and at one point in the sermon, my son Noah looked over at my wife and he said, "Hey," my wife and I started dating in high school. And he said, "Did you think it was the other Daniel B asking you out whenever you heard that Daniel B wanted to go out with you?" Which I was a little insulted by, honestly. And then I found my wife's response a little concerning too. She goes, "No, I would never have talked to him because that would have been far too intimidating." I'm like, well. Yeah. Wait, what is that?
Yeah.
But I get it.
Own it. Just own it. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he was out of her league, but she was out of my league. So I understand why she wasn't intimidated to talk to me.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
Gotcha. Okay. But that was some past point.
There's something about the passage.
You got so hurt there. The wound came open again.
Sorry, guys. Okay. So it's to the saints. And then there were that's who it's to. And then there are 4 things about those saints. It's all the saints, so all, and then those who are in Christ Jesus, and they are in Philippi, so it's a certain location, and and even the kind of subgroup that he also addresses are overseers and deacons, or elders and deacons. I think those were the 5 things to think about there from last week.
All right.
And then we kind of really drilled in yesterday on the idea of saints and kind of elaborate on that more, like who are why is regenerate church membership so important? Why is it so important that the church membership be made up of believers?
And I taught Discovering Bethany.
It was very
yesterday where we covered what is church membership and what is an elder and what is a deacon. So I hope people didn't feel set up by that, but it was just divinely.
And we did not coordinate ahead of time, did we?
No, not at all. So,
but it turns out we believe the same thing. About those areas. So.
Right. Now, was there anything that you didn't get to about elders or members or elders or deacons?
I think I've just been reading this book called Biblical Foundations for Baptist Churches by Himmel, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, H-E something. And it talks about different types of church government, and he would argue there's three main types: the Episcopal form of government, and then the Presbytery, and those are both where you have collections of churches and then a hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And then there's he would argue there's congregationalism, and he wouldn't differentiate between the different kinds. And he would argue for a form of congregationalism that has the congregation as the authority, and then elders, pastors underneath them. And there's kind of a two-way street, but really the congregation is the ultimate group in charge. And the way you nuance that, I mean, ultimately, the congregation really has a lot of final say in things, because at the end of the day, if your congregation isn't on board with something, they're just going to leave.
Right.
And so you can say all you want, the elders are ultimately in charge, and good luck on that, right? The congregation has a lot of authority, and I think a lot of biblical evidence points us to the real role and authority that the congregation has. So we talked more about the congregation yesterday, but I would also say elders have real authority, and in a healthy church, that authority is going to be exercised the way that all biblical authority is exercised, and that's in terms of serving those leadership. Serving those that you're called to serve. So I think that in a healthy church, those questions are going to be less pointed. Like people aren't going to be checking the church constitution all the time to say no, this requires a 3/4 majority vote. And again, not that you want to follow your constitution. I'm not saying who cares about the bylaws.
Right.
We as you know, we strive very hard to make sure everything we're doing is what the bylaws say we need to do. And I think that the elders are not afraid to bring things to the church. The elders and the deacons are not afraid to bring things to the whole church, because we value their input and we trust them. Like we know that if we are transparent and say, look, we're trying to think through this, the congregation is going to use that against us, or there's a faction in the church that's going to try to divide the church over some issue. And I don't know, I'm just very grateful for that.
Yeah. I was just going to say we should stop and pause and just thank Bethany Community Church. It's been a very sweet church to serve at.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the elders, and I'm grateful for the deacon. I'm just grateful for all the people that are in charge of my family and shepherding us so faithfully. Yeah. Not perfectly.
Right.
Because no one does it perfectly, but faithfully.
Yeah. Now you did something different yesterday.
Yeah.
In that you yielded the floor.
Yeah.
During the sermon.
Did that make you nervous?
So.
Right. What's he doing?
Well, seeing the people stand up, I thought it didn't make me nervous at all.
Okay.
Seeing who you were yielding the floor to,
Yeah.
If it would have been, me or something, people might have gotten nervous.
Yeah.
But
what's going to happen here?
But yeah, it was very sweet that you had, for the most part, people from your care group.
Yeah.
Well, including your wife.
Yeah.
She kind of had to do it, right?
Yeah. She did feel very obligated since I was asking other people in the care group.
Yeah, but then I think you had to recruit someone there last minute.
Yeah.
So
one of the people in our care group that was going to do it was sick, or with home with sick kids, and so poor Cam.
Yeah. Yes. Wrong spot, the wrong time, or
you could just see the look on his face, like, oh, I know what's coming here.
Yeah.
But he was very sweet. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So Daniel invited people. If you weren't there, but Daniel invited some people from our church to come up and read our membership commitment statement, and it was just really touching. I've heard it read dozens of times. I've read it, total. But just to hear the different voices, different inflections, what they emphasized, knowing some of those, knowing those people too, is just very sweet. So yeah, thanks for thinking of that.
Yeah, it just kind of happened.
Yeah,
it's neat.
Yeah. We want to make sure that's accessible to people, and if you look at our sermon notes, it was printed in the sermon notes. There was a link in our sermon notes also to our website. You said I need to go to our website and then resources and then membership.
Yeah, membership documents.
Membership documents.
Membership documents.
Yeah, so find the resources link and then membership documents. You can find a copy of it there.
It's called Membership Commitment Statement.
Yeah. So it's also in our Discovering Bethany packet as well. And we just finished a session of Discovering Bethany, but would encourage you, if you haven't yet been to that, it's a great opportunity to learn more about the church.
Yeah.
So, anything else to talk about?
No, that's
today.
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Post Sunday app, and have a great rest of your day.